Good day, everyone, and welcome to the Mag Show. Today, we are going to be talking about Fairgames. And is this game canceled? Is it not canceled? What the heck is going on with this? And what's everybody running with? These stories back and forth. We got to break this down, and we're going to come to our own conclusion. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. The Mag is back making videos. Strap in. It's going to be a busy 2025 going into 2026 right here on this channel. I got a whole lot of new things, exciting and new for everybody. So be prepared. Either way, let's talk about Fairgames. If anyone is not familiar with what Fairgames is a live service game that's going to be a anti-billionaire co-op heist kind of game. Maybe think like Payday, maybe a little bit of what Contraband would have been, unfortunately. But either way, here it is. Haven Studios hails from Canada. Come on, Canada. Represent, man. And it was being led by Jade Raymond. Jade Raymond famously left the studio about 3 months ago. Whether she walked or whether she was fired, don't really know. However, the reason why this has come up in the conversation is because Michael Pachter of the Pachter Factor, say that 5 times real fast, Michael Pachter of the Pachter Factor, how much wood could a woodchuck, you all know the rest. Anyways, so apparently he said on his podcast a couple of things, and as a result, he was talking about the Sony live service initiative, and apparently it lit the internet on fire. Do you think people read into it too much or not enough? I'm not really sure. Let's look into it. Now, the first thing I'm going to pull up here is an article from Push Square, who's actually saying, don't believe the speculation about PS5's Fairgames getting canceled. And then I'm going to scroll down to actually what Mr. Pachter said there. He says, quote, they turned all their studios into live service developers, he says, but that resulted in Concord being shut down and the developer closed, which then resulted in Jade Raymond being let go and Fairgames being canceled. Okay, that's pretty hard to argue right there, like judging by what he's saying. He's saying it's canceled, and I know the guy has inside information and everything else. I know a lot of people don't believe what he has to say because he has been wrong on several occasions, and it's sort of right. Hey, that's part of the game of doing this sort of thing. Like if you talk to people, you talk to insiders, and then what ends up happening is sometimes plans change, things don't really work out. Happens to me. Very rarely, but I don't report things that are too wild. But either way, this situation, that's what he said. So now we've got media outlets saying the game is canceled, the game is canceled, game is canceled. I looked into something else, though, and it turns out that as of yesterday, they still have 6 open positions that they just put up on LinkedIn for the studio for this game. So they have 6 open positions now that they just opened up, and then the development is actually going to continue moving forward, and they said it's moving in a positive direction. Let's flip the coin over the other way. I did hear from someone who was a playtester about 3 months ago, maybe almost 3.5 months ago, and saying that the game did not, quote, feel good and was very clunky. That was 3.5 months ago. Then Jade Raymond left. Right? And so all this sort of speculation was starting to come together. So I'm like, well, holy cow, who are you supposed to believe? I think that there are a lot of factors here that people are somewhat right, somewhat wrong about the situation. They said that the development is in trouble. They're a little bit delayed, maybe a lot delayed. And I'm like, you know what? I can't say either way whether this game is canceled or not. However, if you do look at what Sony's been doing this generation in terms of their live service initiative, it has not been going incredibly well. I mean, we don't have to bring back Concord again. We don't have to talk about Marathon, which at this point, I mean, if you're going to do this, and if you're going to cancel these games one by one, let's just say for argument's sake that this game, Fairgames, is canceled. I think at this point, you've got everybody lined up, okay, in the gallows, and it's like you're hanging them one at a time, one every few months. Just drop the floor and hang them all at one shot and get it over with, if that is indeed the case, because it's just this slow death that just brings bad press, and it keeps resurfacing. It keeps coming back like a cockroach after you sprayed the place, and then they still come back. And then it just, like I said, it just continuously brings up bad PR, bad mind share, bad mindset, and you're always going to get this negative news, negative news, negative news. Yes, I understand. Obviously, Sony is still the market leader in the video game industry. They are still making tens of billions of dollars. They are doing just fine. And they will continue to do so. I think 2026, they're going to have a record-breaking year selling PS5s because of GTA 6. No question about that. But this live service situation, if this game does stay in development and continues to move forward, but they're still delayed. They're having problems. They're having issues. It's costing more money. Just cut it. Just cut it already. Get it over with. Get it out. Just throw it all away. Focus on your first party. You got a lot of first party games coming up in the next 3 years that I would imagine at this point, just put it to bed and just let it go. But either way, I don't know what to think about this situation. I've heard both sides of the stories. I've spoken to people about both sides of the stories. There are people who are adamant saying that it is canceled, not only based on Michael Pachter's words, but stuff that they have heard behind the scenes. And then I've heard the other side of the story saying, nonsense, they're still in development. They've got 6 new openings and the development is going to continue. Means nothing. I just spoke to Colt Eastwood about 20 minutes ago, and you know what he reminded me of? He reminded me of the fact that Contraband was still hiring up until last month. And what happened there? Not even 3 weeks later, the game was canceled. Either way, this is a developing story, folks. I just thought I'd get my thoughts and feelings out there, shake off the cobwebs after not being online on YouTube too much over the last couple of weeks. But either way, we're here. I want to know what you think. Do you think that Fairgames is canceled, or do you think that Fairgames is still coming? Either way, everyone have yourself a wonderful day and stay magnificent. Wait a minute. Stop the outro. Turns out Michael Pachter turned it back. Fairgames is not canceled.